Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are enjoying these more regular videos. We did Volkmar yesterday, so today we're going to be continuing on with Thorgrim Grudgebearer, who I've played many campaigns with, but I have never played a campaign for him on the YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and do that. Here's the video.
The old world is a crucible of relentless war. It has ever been so. An era as long as the mountains are unyielding. But as the storms gather again, it presents a chance for the brave to bring about an age of reckoning. I come to the Dwarf High King as a herald of such times, and so I find myself at the King's right hand. My presence is timely, for dire news comes from the south. Greenskins flock to the banner of a cruel war boss. Now, my liege, Thorgrim Grudgebearer, leads a mighty throng from Khazuk-ha, smashing aside any foes that block our path. If Grudgebearer desires to return the Khazuk-ha to its former glory, then he must rid his lands of vile Greenskins. Those gathering within the shadows of Everpeak are a good start.
It is a dark time in Thorgrim Grudgebearer's reign. Despite convincing his kin not to seal their holes and diminish, their enemies are emboldened. Greenskins gather in the shade of Everpeak. Thorgrim cannot let that stand, and so march forth and slew them. But the remnants fled, now skulk in the sacred site of Grugni's pillars. Another grudge recorded. Another that needs to be settled if the age of reckoning is to continue. I made it just in time.
Khazuk-ha is secure, my lord High King. Faced with your terrible wrath, the Greenskins rout, as is typical of their craven nature. The bloody spears still infest the mountains to the east, setting up their hovels amidst your sacred pillars. Another grudge that must be put right, and soon, for the lords of the other dwarfholds will not tolerate a High King that cannot secure his own realms. To the south, yet more vicious Urki and Groby lay ready to strike at your kin. Seek allies amongst your own folk, for there are many grudges to settle here.
See if I can actually keep Barakvar alive for once.
The world shall be enthralled to the Khazuk-ha once more, and no creature, greenskin or otherwise, shall stand in your way.
Alright, if you don't know the rules of this new campaign series I'm starting, I'm trying to make them a little bit longer so that they're actually, like, entertaining to watch all the way through. Let's see. Beheld by the enraged... I didn't read the quest for the volcano, whatever. Beheld by the enraged gaze of Grimnir, the bloody spirits have trespassed with impunity all over the sacred mountains. Their forces gather to the east and must be defeated in battle before their strength is regained. So, the rules for these new campaigns are that I have to fight every game. I'm hoping that will draw out how many episodes it takes me to win within that hour per episode time frame. That's the goal. Hopefully it works. So let's do a gem mine shaft and then break that down because I don't need it. And let's crush some Groby. But I think another fun thing we could do is if y'all ever see a unit that's performing particularly well, I would encourage all of you to suggest potential names for said units down in the comment section. Like, I'm probably going to rename these hammers to be the Everguard, which is Thorgrim's personal guard of hammers that he has in certain parts of Tabletop. Alright, we're up against the Greenskins, but I have a Grudge Thrower, so we're going to set up nice and confidently on this hill. And let them come to us. Let's put the Quarlers in front. Followed by our melee units. Our hammers will take up the flank, and Thorgrim will take up the other flank. Open fire! But I love the dwarves. They're actually my favorite faction in Total War Warhammer. I have played many campaigns in this game as all of the factions. I've put in over 500 hours. I have 100% of the achievements, which if you have not tried to do that, it is a bitch. And I actually, if there's one thing I wish CA was a little better at, would be inventing the achievements, because a lot of them tend to be really meticulous and not fun, and some of them are just outright ridiculous. Like the beast, there's always one for the horde armies, for the beastmen and chaos hordes, where you have to get 5 hordes up to maximum level and build a certain building, which I've always thought is just ridiculous. The Greenskin one wasn't as bad because the building that you needed to build was one that was actually kind of useful. For chaos, you had to build like the skull thrones, which were just like, oh, you need to develop a full horde that all have Chaos Knight upgrades, and I'm sitting there like, but what if I don't want Chaos Knights in my army? And you just get super punished. All right, the miners are our fastest ground unit, so we're gonna send them to go mess up. Well, I was gonna actually, you know what? That's where we'll focus our Quarlers. That would be the smart plan. All right, but the fights have begun. The brave Dawi are waiting. I still wish that Thorgrim's shield bearers, or throne bearers, had axes like they're supposed to in Tabletop. In this, they have shields because I guess they didn't want to do their attack animations. These archers are causing too many problems for my freaking hammerers. Because hammerers are an amazing unit, but as one of my friends has said many a time, they are terrible against Greenskins. Unless you're fighting Black Orcs. Against Black Orcs, they're pretty decent, but against regular Greenskins, they are not that good. Until they get really high leveled. But I mean, once you've got high leveled hammerers, they can pretty much kill anything in the game. Alright, so now what we want to do is fall back our hammers and have our Quarlers. The goal is to pull back so that their flank is exposed. There we go. And now my Quarlers can fire into them without any problem. So we took a little bit of damage pulling out of that fight, but we more than make up for it in the Quarler damage. These are the big ones too. Alright. We'll let the hammers chase them off. We're going to reface the archers to the front. And kind of repeat the same strategy. To just mow down these greenskin groups one by one. So the miners are going to fall back. Which will expose our rear for just a moment, but it's totally worth it because then we absolutely melt them with Quarlers. And we're making sure our Grudge Thrower tells those units to bugger off. Alright, great. And then we'll focus our efforts. Alright, and now the goal is to try and kill off as many of these groups as we can. So the hammers did a great job finishing off the Biggins, which is fantastic. Archers, or the Quarrelers, should be able to finish off this unit of Orc Boys. Thorgrim, Thorgrim's going to be able to kill Gashnak, or Gashrak, excuse me, due to the fact that I've got the charge bonus, so Thorgrim's going to be able to chop him to little bitty pieces with the Axe of Grimnir. Oh, his body regenerated. Oh wait, no, that's just his shield. Oh my god, that was amazing. Thorgrim just obliterated the top half of his body. I've never seen that happen while I was watching. Oh man, that was phenomenal. Alright, and then of course we'll use the Grudge Thrower to finish off the what we can of those units. Alright, we're gonna pull those units off so my archers can have a few volleys into them. Or the Quarrelers. Alright, and then we will turn our Grudge Thrower on these guys who have very low health. They won't be a threat if we have to fight them again, which we probably will. Greenskins are very difficult with dwarves to finish off, unless you have like organ guns or gyrocopters. See, they're out of our maximum range. Yep. All right. Close victory, my butt. All right, so we definitely took a lot of damage, but we did way more in return. Their archer units were completely shut down, but those bigots, man, the Orc Boys and Biggins are just very good at dealing with most dwarf units. For dwarves, you really want to have long beards to take down Greenskins. But yeah, he is actually going to get away. We will execute them for the leadership bonus. Alright. The Banner of the Lost Holds. Created by rune lords who hailed from Lost Holds to fight beneath this story banner to recall the fury of so many wrongs. This banner is amazing. 6% weapon damage to everyone around within 45 meters of whoever holds it. That is ridiculously good, and to get it the first turn of the game bodes well for this campaign. The Pillars of Grugni Grudge. Observed with disdain by Grugni and all of his kin, the Bloody Spears maintain an encampment at the pillars from which they raid the surrounding valleys. These vermin have long outstayed their welcome in the sacred mountains. March against them and drive them from these lands that are rightfully dwarfen. Alright, Thorgrim, we're going to go ahead and put a point into Route Marcher, I guess. So, I think what we're going to do is, all he has left is one unit of archers, so we're not going to bother with him. We're just going to go straight for the Pillars of Grugni. I'm going to put the Banner of the Lost Holds onto my warriors right now. They're the most tanky of my units. Because hammers, although they have good defense, their melee defense is pretty meh. I said that wrong. They have good armor, but their melee defense is pretty meh. But with them in the center of the formation, with the hammers and the miners on either side, we should be able to do tons of damage. Also, Mash Gut Stabba doesn't have any ranged units, so we're going to have a pretty easy time with this. Only possible problem are the Goblin Archers, but I don't even think they're going to make it to the fight before it's over. So we're just going to set up our Quarrelers on the front line, with our Grudge Thrower behind. And we'll put him a little further back so that he can get that nice range. Actually, we're gonna pull him back a bit so that I'm just in range of their deployment zone. And then the Quarrelers will fill in front of him. And then we're just gonna put let's move y'all up just a tad. And then we will put our melee units right there with Thorgrim chilling in the back. And this should be a pretty straightforward fight. Should not be difficult at all. I'll be surprised if the Greenskins even make it most of the way to me, but this is definitely the best way to fight with dwarves. It's just like playing them in tabletop. You just pick a nice comfortable spot somewhere on the battlefield and just open fire and enjoy the fireworks show. Which, funny thing to communicate to everyone is that, like, funny enough, as scary as Dwarf War Machines are in Total War Warhammer, they are way scarier in tabletop. Like, they don't typically have as many War Machines, but the War Machines they do have are so accurate, it's just disgusting. Alright, we're knocking off a few goblins here and there. Grudge throwers are very good anti-greenskin. I think flame cannons tend to be better with the recent update. Well, it's not so recent anymore. I've not played this game too much since the Greenskin update hit. Or not they added an update that fixed a lot of the dwarf units. And I just didn't have time to play very much in the last month, and I was just not in a very good place mentally. But that's in the past now, and I'm feeling much better. And hoping to get in lots of gameplay and get out some lore videos and all that awesome jazz. Alright, so let's change our targets. Okay, let's have y'all aim at the relevant unit in front of you. Alright, so units that will definitely make it to our line are these two. So we're going to go ahead and send out all of our troops. Counter said units. But everyone's in range of these guys, so we should be able to do quite a bit of damage. Alright, and I'm going to pull these quarrelers around. And these quarrelers around. And they've got their... The bad thing about skirmish sometimes is that your troops will not listen to your orders. Which is kind of frustrating. Alright, so we're almost around. Set it like so. Alright, these goblins are broke, so I'm gonna focus them down a bit. Grudge Thrower's putting the pressure on Mash Gut Stabber's unit. Thorgrim, pull back. Hammers into the flank. I love the hammers when they're like charging. They like just wave their hammers in the air, like, ah, I've got a really big stick. I'm gonna whack it with it. Alright, but we're definitely splitting through. Fortunately, goblins win in this matchup versus miners most of the time, just because of the sheer numbers they can bring. Turn my but they're all mass breaking. We do want to chase down these guys, though. These guys we want to do our best to hunt down and kill. Because if they escape with reasonable numbers, then they will actually continue to be a problem. Which, unfortunately, I think they're going to get away. Which sucks for me, because that means they're gonna get a general next turn. Yeah, they're definitely getting away. There's no way I'm gonna be able to catch them. I should have focused them the moment they came into range. That was a misplay on my part. But with that extra weapon damage, the hammers were able to just absolutely mop up the left flank, which just collapsed the greenskin line, which is always wonderful. Playing dwarves is also super satisfying because I think their stats are finally in a much better place, so they tend to be able to handle large amount of numbers a lot better than they used to. Looks like our warriors actually survived, which is great, and we will occupy. Alright. The Relic Sword. Relic Sword was discovered in an ancient barrow close to the swamps of Morcaine. There are not many beings that can shrug off a wound from this blade.
Your Dawi have been put to work fixing up the captured city, sir. Yet there are many grudges still to settle.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to listen to you talk anymore. Alright, Thorgrim is definitely a lord you want to hardcore manage this blue tree with. Thorgrim can absolutely make or break your empire, depending on how you play him, but I prefer to really hardcore him into Mason for that construction cost reduction, because it can make him just absolutely ridiculous. The flow of Greenskins towards the north must be halted. Make haste for any concentration of Groby spells trouble for dwarven kind. If the orcs and goblins were of mind to ambush the king's army, however, then Thundering Falls would be a good place to do it. Because you don't ambush Thorgrim. Thorgrim ambushes you. He just lets you think you're ambushing him. And if there's one thing I absolutely love about the dwarves, it's their tech tree. God, I will never get sick of the dwarven tech tree. Alright, so the Bloody Spears ran away. Actually, I think he died, because Morglim's a different lord. Alright, so we're going to pick up some more warriors and another unit of miners. Khazuk-ha, we're going to... I don't think I want to put guns here. I think I would rather go for public order for now. No, we're not gonna. I'm not gonna build this here. We will build a trading depot. I think that's what we'll do. And Thorgrim is just gonna build up his army for now. Really hope we get a similar DLC. I already talked about this in the Volkmar video, but I really hope we're getting a similar DLC for the dwarves that we did for the Vampire Counts in the Empire, because the dwarf roster is so close to being done. I mean, really, all they have left is basically Anvils of Doom, Rangers, and then like the mount options, I guess, for the dwarf lords, which are stuff like Oathstones and Shield Bearers, and that's really it. And then if we could get some regiments of renown, that'd be fantastic. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is deploy our miners. Gosh, this is not my favorite map. I like miners. There's just not a whole lot you can do with them. I really wish miners had more. I wish they came with like crossbows or some shit. That's why I want Rangers so bad. Rangers will be actually good. Because in tabletop, they're a great weapon unit that also has crossbows. So they can harass really well. Alright. You guys are in the center of our formation. I'll follow up there. And then... that. Alright, incoming Greenskins. So we'll put these miners around this side. Quarrelers, why don't y'all move up just a tad? We'll be able to see over this hill. I didn't deploy very well. Alright, mow them down, boys. Mow them down. Yeah, I deployed really bad. The guards there can't even see. Alright, we're going to go ahead and countercharge. We're going to have a minor sandwich over here. But, oh no. Let me do that. Catch these orcs before they... Quarrelers! Chop chop!
Find your targets! Put those dwarven legs! Strike out, vengeance! Move! Barracks ready!
Alright, there's a minor sandwich. Come on. Y'all see them off. I always forget about this stupid... I'll see them off. We sort of did a bad job of walking through there, but oh well. Come on, chop chop. Come on, lads. Alright. Let them have it.
There's a reckoning!
Open fire, lads. Beautiful. Truly beautiful.
Lord of vengeance!
My lord. That was my own grudge thrower. That killed, like... God, that killed at least 5 or 6 dwarves. Which is not a small number of dwarves. Get up here, you dingus. I know it's my fault that you did that, but, I mean, come on. Watch your aiming. Jackass. Ugh. Nope, don't save. Alright, pretty decent kills. I feel like my grudge thrower killed more of my own guys than the enemy, but that's what happens when you deploy him behind a hill like a dingus. Alright, and that will give the Silver Road under control, which we will now make sure that we have firmly under our grasp. So we're going to recruit another Lord. To help defend it. That way I can focus on, not expanding, but just being busy. Because I definitely want to knock out Ambush at Thundering Falls quickly. And I also want to harass these guys. And I want to try and keep Barakvar alive. I've always wanted to, and it's always proven so incredibly difficult. Let's go ahead and try and get non-aggression with Zuffbar. Awesome. That's good enough for me. Commandment, right. Let's do tax rate. The public order will settle down. I'm not going to worry about it for right now. Okay, so the Red Fangs are messing with us, which is not unexpected. Let's go ahead and do militia. No, not militia training. We want Dorm Resolve.
Throw banners! Let's march!
Okay, I want to heal for one more turn, and then I will deal with Morglum. His army's not too big. I just need a couple more dwarves to deal with it. Oh shit! Oh well. I just goofed. Alright. Because I need to destroy one of these. Alright, so more diamonds. We will upgrade Mount Squighorn first because it's on our border. Actually, no we won't. No we won't. Because we're going to be... Actually, wait. There we go. That's better. Alright. I'm going to go deal with Morglum. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6...
Yes.
I don't think I can beat him just yet. I need like just a few more units, and I can overwhelm him through numbers. Okay, we intercepted him in the underway, which is fine by me. I actually love underway fights. They definitely are much more interesting. They're probably the most interesting fights next to like the Beastmen ambushes, but Beastmen you tend to so rarely see. If there's one thing I wish they would do, I wish they would make more Beastmen factions on the map, or make them a little like start off stronger, because you get to see them so rarely, at least in my experience. Alright, so we're gonna deploy all of our range stuff up right in the front. And then our melee units will float in the back. Miners. If y'all could give me a visual, I would appreciate it. Okay. There we go. That's good. Good enough. Alright, and we're going to move together as a unit. Miners, your job is just to keep him in sight. That's all you got to do. That's what miners are really good for with dwarves, especially when you're running like really beefy late game armies that have like a lot of. God, do you not? I'm gonna finish my first thought. Miners are really good for scouts in a literal sense of that you use them to literally find your opposed army. That way your war machines can get a bead on them from that crazy long distance. Because normally in the underway you won't see them until they're like right here and you're like, oh shit, and then you're like not in range. So that's definitely a lot better. So my second thought was, could you imagine how badass an RPG would be based in this universe? Like, Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning failed because it was an MMO, in my opinion. I think it would have been way better off if they had just made it a traditional RPG. But they were like, oh, we gotta get in on that MMO candy. And they would have been fine, but they released, like, the same month as Wrath of the Lich King, and we all know how that went. Because Wrath of the Lich King is considered, like, the best expansion ever made for any MMO ever, and Warhammer Online was trying to compete with it, and it was just, it just didn't happen. That being said, Warhammer Online did live for quite a long time, but that's the only game that has had a life cycle that I played for its entire life cycle. I was in the beta all the way to the very last month before it shut down. Like, I played that game like it was never gonna end. And they goofed it up, y'all. They goofed it up. And I will never not be butthurt about it. Alright, let's advance the miners just a tad bit more. This hill is what's blocking me from sight. Or seeing them. I wish grudge throwers could okay, so he's coming for me. So halt. Fire at will. Pull the miners back. But the grudge throwers can't see, which is fantastic, so we're going to go ahead and launch a volley. We'll focus his wolf riders for the moment until he gets a bit closer. Great shot. Great shot. But if I could put a few holes in his wolf riders, I would be super happy. Alright, miners, I think we've got good sight on them now, so y'all can just fall back. Really wish miners came with stock. I feel like they would actually be a good unit in that case. I tend to find that like they're very okay. Like the reason you take miners is for sieges, in my opinion, just because they can actually get through the gate. Which thank God CA had the foresight to make them good at that. Though I wish the CA would buff battering rams, just because as an aside, because battering rams are such like an aesthetically cool thing, but nobody ever uses them because they're absolute garbage. They're so slow. All right, we're gonna change our target onto these orc boys, I think. Actually, let's do these orc boys. Good shot. Good shot. Change my mind. Back on these orc boys. All right, Quarlers. I want at least one unit dedicated to these harassing these. All right, and then we're going to drop you two from this group. And oh my God, this is not working at all. Gee, there we go. Unit 2, charge! Miners, let's bring you in on the flank. And Quarlers, y'all should be able to see them off without too many casualties. Actually, let's bring the miners around the flank. Let's chase these guys off. Shoot! Shoot! Away with you. I'll dedicate one unit. And I want to bring this unit around to deal with these. Grudge Thrower, focus down the Wolf Riders. Quarlers, fall back just a hair. Alright, good job. Now let's come around the side. Come on, chop, 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 chop. Hammers are doing a great job. We're a little close to the front, but Alright, the miners are coming over to harass these guys, which is great. They're falling back though, so we're gonna go ahead and pull off and go into the rear. Coilers, y'all can mow them down. I'm not gonna need your support here. Great shot! I don't know what you were aiming for, but good. Great boulder there. Alright. And of course, this definitely favors the dwarves very heavily because it is an underway fight. So, hammers fall back behind the dwarves. Alright. Wonderful thing about underway fights is as the dwarves, you don't have to chase anybody down. The underway is too crazy and they all disperse. Alright, yeah, that extra weapon damage is really making the hammerers a powerhouse. They're getting tons of kills. Or, you know, it could be that they might actually be a little better against units like goblins, because I think hammers should have a little bit of an AoE effect to a lot of their attacks, as opposed to just being straight damage dealers. But that takes care of Nashrak, aka Morglum. I guess they traded out generals. The Pillars of Grungni are under attack. They will almost certainly fall, but like I said, I'm going to play every match and do my best. I'm hoping that we can damage him enough here that, well, I mean, he'll be pretty weak after this, but I'm hoping to just bring him down enough that the other army coming down on top of him can just wipe him out really fast. He doesn't have much, really. I mean, his strength is just that he has a general. I actually probably should have attacked him last turn with my lord, but I didn't. I thought he had more ranged units than that for some reason. Alright, we definitely want to spread the dwarves out, though, just a bit. Actually, we want to spread them out just a bit, because I don't want to allow Gorfang Rotgut to get into my units as nicely as he normally can. Let's see. I would like to deploy one miner unit where you can't see it, which should be possible. You spread out enough? There we go. Alright, and their goal, of course, is to get into the ranged units and tear them up. There's nothing I can do about the chariot. That is just an unfortunate truth of the situation. The chariot is an excellent anti-dwarf tool. Like, if you're ever playing dwarves and you have the opportunity to take a chariot, there's no reason not to. Alright, I'm going to get my miners into position. And we're going to wait until it's time. So we're going to go ahead and tell the dwarves to charge, because he doesn't have any large that he's going to commit to melee with, so there's no point in waiting. We're going to go ahead and summon these miners out, because unfortunately, unlike most scout units, they are very slow and do not benefit from a prolonged wait time. Alright, so the dwarf warriors should win their engagements. Definitely the problem will be once these units engage. Not sure why Gorfang's holding back. This is kind of... I'm actually not sure what's happening right now. Okay, so apparently he's just going all melee. I don't know why. That makes no sense, but whatever. It's way more advantageous for him to hold back. But whatever. Okay, Gorfang's in the fight now. I feel like the computer's actually trying to use tactics, and it's weirding me out, because normally the computer doesn't really do that. But we're fighting as best we can. We would win this fight, but there's Gorfang, and Gorfang's gonna be a problem. Okay, the archers are pulling out now. I still think it's worth it for me to charge these guys in the back, and then after I break them, I'll go after the archers. Oh dear, I just realized that this is not good. Into the fray! But I'm hoping to break these guys so that then we can start to sweep over. And then I can commit these guys to dealing with the archers. I don't know if that's how it's going to happen, but that's how I hope it's going to happen. Those archers are going to start tearing me up if I don't do something soon. I don't have an answer to Gorfang because he's just way too damage heavy. He just does shitloads of damage. Ugh, the Squatter King indeed. Yeah, I think we're gonna do quite a bit of damage, but I do not believe there's a way to win this. I'm lucky this unit will rally. Yep, and I can bring them back into the fray. We did manage to break a goblin unit. Nope. Yeah, when we lost our general, we were kind of SOL. We didn't do great, but we did okay. We took out about a third of his army, which unfortunately was just goblins. Wasn't really anything that powerful. We tried, though. We tried. Just Gorfang is just really, really good. He's a very nasty lord. Oh, he actually took it. That's surprising. I should probably read those. So, the Greenskins and them confederated. Under the outraged sight of Grimner, the Groby scum raid our mountains as they always have. Another grudge for the Great Book. Another wrong to be righted. More Greenskins to hunt and kill, which we accomplished, but then we've got this one. Seen by the mother of home and heart, the Greenskins have taken a dwarf hold. A vile sin. This grudge has been entered into the book and now must be wiped clean. Take the hold back and kill any Groby in our way. That I can do. Just because he just took it, he's not going to get much of a garrison. So we've got the numbers. The only potential threat to us is really the Wolf Chariot. Gorfang should be able to be dealt with by Hagenbor Oathforged, though I probably will not engage him right away. Just because Gorfang's kind of nasty. I like that the Greenskins are playing aggressive, though. I'm not used to them actually, like, trying to use tactics to harass me. But we've got the numbers so that we can really press our advantage. So we're going to definitely deploy a thick line with the Dwarf Lord holding it together. And I think what we're going to do is have flanking miners to try and get those great weapons in the rear and on to the archers. Okay, so let's redeploy our line. Alright, we'll go ahead and put our miners into groups. Good news is he doesn't have any rock lobbers, so that's nice. Yes, the Orc boys are actually way better combat-wise. They don't have as much. They don't have nearly as much armor, and they're not as melee defensive. But man, those attack stats are nasty. All right, so we're going to go ahead and head towards them. And we're going to take the fight to the Groby. Try and keep our line relatively even. Oops. Whoops, 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 whoops. Actually, miners... I forgot to group you guys up. Let's keep y'all a little thicker than that. Don't have too wide a frontage. Hustle our dwarf warriors up a bit to make our line a little more even. There we go. Alright, and then once we're in range of these goblin archers, we're just gonna hustle. So we're going to go ahead and tell the miners to start running. And we will also start running as well. But this should allow us a good opportunity to do some flanks. See if we can get these miners in a position. I want to be careful that he doesn't engage me with, like, goblins.
For the Ancestor Gods.
But we should get a really nice charge here. I'm going to hold my Dwarf Lord back until Gorfang commits. I'm just going to use him for the leadership bonus. Alright, let's pull you guys around. You guys go get rid of them. Alright, I'm going to commit against the Orc boys. As well as with my miners. Actually, we're going to break these goblins so that I can tear the flank up. Alright, and then these miners are in position. Send one unit against the archers, other unit as... switch that. Alright, and we're chasing off the chariots with that miner unit, which is fine. And they're going to catch the goblins, which is great. Alright, I'm going to pull these dwarf warriors. We'll let them sort of hammer into those guys. Gonna reform. Alright, then commit to the fight, and Gorfang's getting the shit kicked out of him. Good job. These dwarf warriors will also commit to this fight. Miners will stay on the goblins. Still chasing off those wolf chariots. So we'll let the dwarf warriors pursue. Alright, that's game. Alright, so Gorfang's defeated, and his army is cracked. Which is good. Lucky for me, he also took a settlement, which... this settlement was one that I was trying to break down one of the buildings anyway. So it's not a huge detriment. But we lost very few troops, and Gorfang is not only dead, but we're going to strike out 2 grudges with 1 blow. Because we have a grudge against Gorfang for raiding, and then we also have a grudge against him for taking the Pillars of Grugni from us. Hegenbor Oakforged. That's a cool name. I like that name. But yeah, like I said, if you see any units that you think are performing particularly well, like they catch your eye when we're looking at those post-battle screens, you're like, wow, they got a lot of kills. Feel free to say something. Route Marcher. Actually, yeah, we'll do that, but I'm going to focus in more on the red tree. Dwarf Lords tend to be the best generals, in my opinion. Alright, so we're going to deconstruct that building. Alright, Thorgrim, another point into Mason, please. And we're going to steal that armor, because... Charm Shield. The front of this shield depicts a warrior being blessed by a nameless lady. Its wielder gains protection from the sigil, especially against foes with missiles. If that's not a Bretonnian weapon, I don't know what is. Alright, I'm going to return to Squighorn to heal up. And then we're going to disband the wounded warrior units. Because we don't, quite frankly, don't need them. And we're going to disband those. Yeah, they're just worth too much money. And then while I'm thinking about it, the Everguard. And then we can reissue a commandment, which we will do tax rate. I intend to build a brewery here in one of these settlements very quickly, but not quite yet. Alright. Here, we will do... Let's do a trinket maker. Alright, so you've got an army that's more than capable of defending Khazuk-ha.
One rogue!
Thorgrim is healing up for a bit. Hopefully we can get him some more elite units very soon. But we've got really good income coming, and once the gem mine is finished, we're going to be in a really stellar position. Storm Resolve. Awesome. See, I kind of need my public order to be good right now, so we will make him take the oath. And I will take Call to Clan, so that we get +2 unit experience for all these units, which is a fantastic thing for dwarves. Because with dwarves, those elite units really matter. Alright, and this one's on our border, so we definitely want to watch room. And we can still afford this, which is great. Alright, and we'll wait. Dwarves tend to be much more of an army that you're going to do a lot of sitting and waiting if you want to play them to the most effective point. We've got really good relations with Barakvar, and they're dying, so I think it's better to give it to the Loyalist clan. I think I'm going to try and march out to Barakvar's aid with Thorgrim. We will have Hegenbor hold the Pillars of Grugni. Just because if something happens, that's the fastest place to do something about it. I'm going to see if I can march to their aid. I don't think I'm going to make it in time. Which sucks. Keeping Barakvar alive is like, it's legitimately worth it if you can pull it off, but it is so hard to pull off. They tend to just get absolutely murdered by everybody ganging up on them. Alright, let's do Inspiring Presence. So we're going to go ahead and march out, see if we can come to their aid. It's not too big of an army harassing them, so I think I can make the difference if I can get over there. See, for you, let's give you some quarrelers so that you're able to do your job better. Alright, looks like we're going to make it, surprisingly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to underway tunnel right underneath him. Let's see if I can't help save Barakvar, who I'm not allies with.
Honor to your ancestors.
Let's have a military alliance. I don't want to confederate with him just because that's not something I really enjoy doing. I'd rather him get bigger and then confederate with him rather than like pressure him into it. Refectory, please, and more money. But I don't know. We'll see. If I can save him, I'll probably join forces with him. All right. So the Greenskins just okay. We'll go ahead and confederate then. Okay. No reason not to at this point. I wasn't going to do it originally, but at this point...
Honor to your ancestors.
Alright, so Barakvar belongs to me, which is fine. I really want guns from here. Alright, we're going to fall back into Barakvar and hold it. And pull in some quarrelers from across the way. Let's only do 2 units. And then I'm going to need some more units. Alright, your job is just to hold the capital for now. Squighorn should be fine once it has a watch room.
Your prestige.
Yeah, whatever. Migration. We definitely want to try and push the pressure on these guys. Oh gosh. I'm actually going to take the gate. Because that will make Barakvar actually defensible, which is fantastic news. Alright, so I'm going to switch this to public order for right now. Because until we can get these buildings properly upgraded, we're kind of in a worrisome position. Like, we're maintaining control, but, you know, that's kind of like the best scenario you can say for it. I don't really want to recruit global units right now. But I don't really have a choice, do I?
The runes are cast.
But these units are higher level, so that really works nicely for us. Alright. And we're making plenty of money, so we don't really want to spend too much time saving up money, so we're just going to kind of casually build up our forces while we're waiting to build up our infrastructure. Alright, so we got our Levy Warriors, so now we're going to head up to ammunition, or new Masterwork Crossbows, that way we can get to Renowned Deadeyes. Which makes it so that all of the basic troops that I recruit start off at really nice levels, which makes my life easier. Alright, it doesn't look like the Bloody Spears are going to attack us just yet, so I'm going to come down here and see if I can wipe out Carrick. I'm going to try and sack Carrick Drawn for... Yeah, I might just raise it, actually. It's good to get aggressive and take out Carrick Drawn, because Carrick Drawn tends to be this really annoying settlement that if you don't deal with, it just becomes a problem. Because the Greenskins can just like constantly launch assaults on you from it. And I find it's not worth occupying either, because dwarves... with dwarves, you either have really good public order or really bad public order. And one thing that'll screw you over in a dwarf campaign is if you expand too quickly. Because the more you expand, the more settlements you have that are vulnerable. And whenever someone takes a settlement, you're guaranteed to get a grudge. It's one of the only ways to get a guaranteed grudge. And the only way to fix the grudge is to take it back. You know, it's not like you can defeat some army and then retreat to your where it's safe. Like, it's like, oh, well, you better get aggressive again. Which is super sucky. Alright, I don't think he's gonna come at me. Here, let's put our Quarrelers. I've got the range superiority. So we'll put them in front. Warriors behind. And then we'll fill in the miners behind that. We'll block them pretty hard, though. That way they can just fill in as needed. Alright. Cowardly Greenskins. But, yeah, I like the Dwarf campaign a lot because I think what I like the most about it is it speaks to how I play the game, naturally. You know, I'm very much a person that prefers to do hardcore, like, to really build up my research, make my troops really powerful, but have not like, massive armies, but have really elite armies has always been something I've really enjoyed. I also like really heavily research-intensive armies. Which, I mean, the most research-intensive armies in the game are like the Dwarves and the Vampire Counts, which the Dwarves are easily ahead in that contest. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and have the Quarrelers run forward. Have our Warriors close a little bit more of that gap. Why can't I run them? Oh, weird. Alright, let's go ahead and run. Alright, miners. I want you all to fill out. Alright, we're going to mainly focus the Quarrelers on taking out enemy ranged units. Because if we can break the enemy ranged units, then we're good to go. Alright, we'll send these miners into here. Oh, oops. Always gotta watch what commands you have on. Boom! Melted. Alright, this should be over any minute. Let's give them a proper send-off. Alright. And we're doing really well financially, so I think we're just going to raise it. That way I know the Greenskins won't be able to launch assaults from here. You know, like they have to go through a dead zone to get to me. Which is ideal defensively. Alright. Looks like I got a banner. Oh, I got a Master Rune of Valia. Awesome. That's a pretty good one. Not amazing, but not terrible. We'll sack it. We can always assault it next turn and raise it. Give me Axe Lord, because I've got really basic units. And that makes them pretty darn good. Thorgrim leveled up. We will take... I don't find All Breakers super worth it. Unless you get like the level 3 version, but yeah. I think I'm going to get Miner's Instinct. Because I really want to get up to Lightning Strike. Because you just really want that against the Urk. Alright, Doc Karaz is exposed and pretty weak, so we're going to go ahead and launch an assault. Or not? Oh, there are hidden armies around it. Alright. Well, hello, Spite. I did not see you there. Can I get back to oh my gosh, I can't even get back to Barakvar. I'm stuck! Ugh. That's really annoying. But at least we've got our gate here, so we can defend Barakvar pretty well. Tricksy Greenskins. Unfortunately, the Greenskins are like rallying all of their legions, which is not bueno. There we go. Back in the safety of Barakvar. Alright. Let's be rid of this place. And I think after this fight we'll be done. Which, you know, for the dwarves, we'll probably focus on reclaiming all of the Barakvar region. We're doing well enough financially that we can afford to build up Oathforged army so that he can properly defend the Silver Road, and which will allow Thorgrim to just focus on taking that area that he's at. Alright, this is going to be much the same strategy. Our guys are a little beat up, but we'll be alright. We're not going to give any too crazy commands this time. Hold up, Dwarf Lord. Your enthusiasm is much appreciated, but... Alright. goofy of me.
Do not engage! Warriors! Let's start shooting! Quarrelers! Charge! Let the vengeance begin! Fire on the ball! Quarrelers!
I say when there's like that one guy who gets stuck and then the unit like can't follow basic orders.
Yes! Madden! Quarrelers! Shoot the madness!
Alright.
Cover your axes in bloody blood! For the Kara's anchor! Nothing can stop us! Satisfy the grudge!
And we just speed things up a little. Alright. Now we'll raise it to the ground. And then I can fall back to the safety of the Silver Road. Strolaz rune. That's an excellent rune. Let's see. Another point to Axe Lord.
Yes. Yes!
Alright, so that's where we're going to call it for right now for the Dwarf campaign. Hope you all have a great day. More to come. Take care of yourselves and have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye.